morning, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out to Metagenics. It's my great pleasure to welcome the Deputy Premier and Minister for State Development here to a fantastic local company in my electorate. Metagenics, I should acknowledge Paula and Peter. Paula's here, and Peter too, who've kindly invited us to Metagenics. Of course, Metagenics employs about 400 people in Australia and New Zealand, 80% in Queensland. And the Deputy Premier is making a fantastic announcement today about an investment in this local business, which will mean more local jobs here in my electorate, but also it means that they've got an extra tablet line and product, which means we can not only stamp Made in Queensland on it, but more importantly, made in the Nudgee electorate, I'm hoping. But I'll invite the Deputy Premier to say a few words. Thanks for coming out.
Thanks so much, Leanne. It is wonderful to be partnering with Metagenics, a proud Queensland company, to assist them to add a new tablet making and coding facility here at the facility. It's a $1.1 million new investment, creating jobs here, but also shoring up local supply chains for these products. We're very proud to be partnering with them. It will see them add 24 more ongoing jobs to the 365 employees they currently have, 80% of which are in Queensland. So this will see more Queenslanders working with Metagenics, producing tablets locally so that we're less reliant on global supply chains. Polly?
Thank you. We're very, very grateful for the support of the Queensland Government. We are a proud Queensland company. We're just over 35 years old and we came from very, very humble beginnings, and this funding means a lot to this company. It will help reinforce our quality position. It will support local innovation. It will secure our supply lines, and it will secure jobs for our current employees, and it will create new jobs, new local jobs. It will give us greater control over our operations, which means that we'll be able to continue to provide our customers with quality natural medicines and deliver on our mission to help people live happier, healthier lives. And importantly, it will bring more manufacturing capability into Queensland, which we are really excited to be a part of. Thank you.
Well, happy to take questions.
What is Metagenics? Is that a stress cream?
It's a range of... yes.
So as I said, Metagenics has been around for just over 35 years, and we're a complementary medicine company, so we provide premium complementary medicines to healthcare professionals. We have our brands Inner Health and Ethical Nutrients through pharmacy, and Metagenics through healthcare professionals.
So it's like vitamin tablets, that sort of thing?
Natural medicines, yep.
Cream, I think that's all stress cream over there.
Mainly nutritional medicines and herbal supplements. Great. Any other questions? Thank you.
Support the use of tracking devices for offenders?
Look, as I said yesterday, we're happy to consider any proposal. In the case of technologies like that, we've been monitoring the development of the technology over time. I think it's important to stress that when Bob Atkinson made that recommendation, it was as a possible alternative for detention. It didn't relate to use while on bail, but we can obviously consider that now.
Why would the government commission any research into GPS tracking at the time if the government's so focused on research-based decision-making?
Look, I understand that was considered by agencies at the time, but as I said yesterday, the technology, all of these technologies are advancing, and we can monitor their advances, and if and when they become useful, we'll consider them.
Why did you not proceed with that option?
Oh, look, those considerations were made at an agency level, but now that that has been put forward again, we'll consider it. Sorry?
What were the considerations as to why it wasn't?
Oh, look, they were considerations made at an agency level. You'd have to refer to those agencies. No, look, you'd have to put to those agencies what consideration they gave to that recommendation. I just underline again that the recommendation in the report related to their use as an alternative to detention, not during the bail process.
Why were the decisions made by the ministers instead by agencies?
Well, the ministers were advised by their agencies, and you'd have to refer to them questions about what matters they considered in that.
Are you saying that you never actually went to cabinet?
Lane, I'm not going to get into the detail of what.
You said it was made at an agency, so presumably you was cut down there.
Well, these considerations were made at an agency level. Bob Atkinson made a recommendation that it should be considered. I understand that it was considered. I understand that of his 77 recommendations, 76 have either been implemented or in the progress of being implemented. And as I say, he didn't recommend the use of GPS for people on bail. He recommended it be considered as an alternative to youth detention to those who've been sentenced.
So the suggestion the left ministers didn't like it. You're a man of the left. Are you comfortable with putting a GPS tracker on a kid?
Well, first of all, Patrick, that suggestion is not true, to my knowledge. And second of all, if the evidence supports it, then I support it.
What about the reality with the Youth Justice Minister? Do you support the use of the tracking device?
I second what the Deputy Premier and Acting Premier has said. If evidence supports its use, then we're looking at that. Everything's on the table.
Do you think you've been given a voice in charge, the first time Minister in charge of youth justice?
Not at all. I don't. I think it's an extraordinarily important portfolio, and I'm really proud and privileged to have the opportunity.
What did you see up in town? What was your reaction to the feeling up there and the sentiment from police and the people you met there?
Well, I've just come back from Mount Isa and Townsville. I always enjoy going to Townsville, and it's a great community that really want to talk to you about the issues there. And while there, obviously, I talked across the board to police and magistrates and youth justice and child safety. And, you know, they're concerned, but they're also really willing to work together, and I think they're a great team.
Is the youth justice system in crisis?
No. The youth justice system is a system that requires constant vigilance, and we need to constantly look at how we can improve it as the nature of offending and offences change too.
Have you met with the Police Minister and the Attorney General yet? Have you discussed any ideas?
I have discussed ideas with them, and can I say that we meet and talk all the time.
What are those ideas?
Those ideas are some of those that have been put out in the public arena, and we'll continue to hold those discussions. Like the police union have put a number forward, and you yourself have asked questions this morning about electronic monitoring. So these are the sorts of things that we're talking about.
That is something that you're actively considering as those tracking devices?
We are actively considering everything that's been put on the table, as we've all committed to, that is evidence-based. So we're talking openly and we're listening. That's the important message too, we're listening.
When you talk about evidence-based decision-making, were you trial GPS tracking?
So I'm aware that that was a recommendation, obviously in the report from Bob Atkinson. I'm aware that that's something the police union's calling for, and at this point everything's on the table and we're just holding discussions.
Just for that, Premier. We seem to now have entered a phase where the government is reviewing things. When will we actually see something?
Look, these meetings are happening now, and we'll continue to consider things. I don't have a time frame to put on it right now, Patrick.
Is it going to be a matter of months, or like it's kind of, if we just have a little debate for a week, then it sort of goes away? Is there a time frame you're looking at to make some changes?
Well, look, as we've suggested, our entire approach to this is iterative. We're happy to make changes over time. It may well be that there are some initiatives that can be put in place very quickly, others that will take longer. We did that review. We've been in the process of implementing the recommendations of that review. I understand that the last of those to be commenced will be commenced shortly. So it's not simply a case, Patrick, of coming up with a solution and setting and forgetting. It's an ongoing process.
There will be changes, it sounds like.
Oh,
You do plan on changes?
well, there's certainly changes, proposals that have been put forward, and we're going to consider those. That's entirely appropriate.
What about do you think the situation is?
Look, I think clearly there have been recent events that have caused community concern, and that we would have hoped wouldn't have happened, and that if we can do something to ensure they don't happen again, then that's what we want to do.
Robert Long, responsible for the children's hostel back at the fire, he was denied police bail. What was your reaction to that?
Well, obviously, the considerations of the parole board are for them, and they consider a whole range of factors. But I know that the wounds from that particular incident still run deep, not just in Childers, but around the state, the country, indeed the world. 15 lives were lost, and to the extent that I can have a personal opinion, I'd endorse what the parole board have decided to do there.
Should he be allowed to apply again this
Oh, look, I understand he can apply every 12 months. I'm not across all of the detail of that. I don't think the fact he can apply is a problem, but I do support the parole board's decision not to approve his request to be released. That was a heinous crime, and an awful crime, one of Queensland's worst, and I don't think there'd be many Queenslanders clamouring for him to be released.
The application was last year, though. Why did it take so long to reach a decision? Are you aware of why it would take so long?
I'm not. They're questions you'll need to put to the Justice Department.
This issue of the whale of Stradbroke Island, there's plenty of protests against it. Were all the Quandamooka people consulted before this whale structure or statue?
Yeah, that project is being led by the recognised traditional owner group, Kayak, and so through them, they are the group that we consult with on behalf of traditional owners. They have their own internal processes for deciding things. I think like every community, you can't expect that 100% of them are going to all have the same view. In general, I think that's a great project and will be great for the island. The question of cultural practices, they're things that really need to be determined through the recognised body corporate.
What is the government's next step after the new Appellate High Court decision today?
Well, that'll depend on the decision, and so we understand that's expected today. We'll look at it closely, and our next steps will very much be determined by what the court decides.
There is a chance that it may be thrown back to the courts, correct?
Well, there's a range of possible outcomes there, and these things are appropriately being determined by the courts, and we'll obviously abide by the court's decision.
Is it the government's intention to sign off on the extension?
We'll accept the outcome of the court process.
It'll take a while to get there. If, let's say, it access the court process, it's still going to take you a while, isn't it, to actually decide on whether it's approved or not? How long would it take?
Look, the issuing of the mining licence is a matter for the Resources Department and the Resources Minister. I'm not aware of how long that's likely to take, but I don't think there's a lot of necessary process once the court decision is made. So, depending on, again, it really depends on what the court decides.
You've been busy being the acting Premier this week. Would you like to be the actual Premier one day?
I'm very happy being the Deputy Premier.
Thank you.
Thank you.